Hi everyone, welcome to Crafting with Julia. I'm Julia and I'm so glad you tuned in today. Calling all gnome lovers, I have a special Scarecrow Gnome for you today, so stay tuned so we can make this big fella together. If you enjoy my video, please hit the like button and leave me a comment. I love to get feedback from my viewers. Also, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you can be notified of all my newly released videos. Also, feel free to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I invite you to join my Facebook group called Crafting with Julia's Creative Community, where you can be part of my crafting family. All of those links are in the description below this video. To save time, I already made the base for the gnome. And that's because a lot of you are returning subscribers and already know how to make the base. So I don't want to be redundant. For those of you who are new to my channel and are not familiar with how to make the base, I am going to refer you to a prior video, and you will see that link in the description below this video. On how to make the base. The only thing that changes is the size dowels that I'm using for this guy. I am using 12-inch dowels with a 1/2-inch diameter, okay? That's the only thing that changes. The pattern you will find also in the description below. You'll find the pattern for every piece of this gnome that I'm making. These are the shoes. Now, I already cut and traced my pattern out. I am only going to sew from here to here, okay, on both shoes. So you're going to cut 2 of these, and you'll see I marked, this is the top of the shoe. You're going to cut 2, and you're going to place this side on the fold. So this side goes on the fold. You're going to cut 2. You're going to sew just here, and then you're going to open up the bottom, and you're going to place your sole on the bottom, and then you're going to sew that around and then turn it right side out. So let's go do that. So here's what it looks like all sewn up. So I sewed the top and I sewed the sole to the bottom and I turned it right side out, and now I'm ready to put my base inside the shoe like that. And now we're going to stuff it with some polyfill. Two shoes. For the body of the gnome, we are going to use an 8-inch styrofoam ball. This I got from Amazon. All of my links are in the description below this video as to where you can buy these products. So this is a 2-part ball, which I am going to glue together just with a little hot glue. Okay, and we are also going to use a 9-inch styrofoam cone. Now, I want the cone to sit on top of the ball flat. So with my styrofoam cutter, I'm just going to make, just cut off a little bit just so that it can lay flat. Just to take that curve off the top. okay? And that will allow me to put the cone on and it could lay flat, okay? First, before we do that, we're going to glue the legs into the ball. So I want to find the bottom. So I'm going to put my 2 feet together and I'm just going to make a little indentation in the styrofoam so I know where to put my holes. So I want it to be in the middle of the ball. So we're going to take the shoes and just make a little mark where I want the shoes, or the dowels to end up. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that is perfect. And then my cone will rest on the top like that. So now I'm just going to glue the legs into the base there. Okay, now we're ready to put pants on this guy. So let me explain the pattern first. So you will see this in the pattern. This part is the extension. So if that all makes sense when you look at it, you'll see I put the wording tape here. So you're going to tape this part to this part, and this is where you're going to tape it. This is the part you're going to place on your fold. Now you're going to place it on your fold, and we're going to cut out 2 of these. So you need to put one on the fold and trace it, and another one on the fold and trace it. Okay, then I'm going to end up sewing just this part here. So I'm going to sew these 2. I'm going to sew this part on this one and the same part on this one. Okay, so I sewed that part, and now I am going to put the right side inside the other side, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to turn it right side out on one of them, and I am going to put that on the inside so the right sides are together. Okay, so my right sides are together, and now I am going to sew around this part. So I'm going to sew all the way around here, from here to here. Okay, so now these are all sewn. So now I'm going to turn them right side out. Okay, and these are the pants. Now I know they're going to look very big, but we are going to cinch up the waist and we're going to cinch up the legs because we want the bottom part to be fluffy. So I'm going to take a needle and thread, and I'm using embroidery thread, and I'm just going to run a stitch. So I'm going to just make a little fold about maybe an inch from the bottom, and we're going to just run a running stitch around, and then we're going to pull it closed. Okay, so here I can just show you what I'm doing here. We're just going to go around like this. Okay, and just make a stitch around both legs. Okay, so after you do that, you're going to leave a tail. You don't want to cut that off yet, and we're not going to close it up yet because we want to put them on the doll. So let's put his pants on. Okay, now we're going to find that string and we're going to pull one of the legs closed. Put it very tightly, and then I'm going to make a knot. Okay, then we can cut that off. And we're going to do the same thing with the other leg. So let's find that thread. Where did it go? Come on. There it is. Okay, we're going to pull that closed very tightly. And tie a knot. Okay, let's cut that off. Okay. Okay, so that's what the bottom should look like. Okay, now we're ready to do the top. Okay, now I am going to put a little bit of polyfill in here because I want that to be fluffy. I want it to fluff it out. Okay, put a little bit in the back. Just a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to take the same thread and we're going to run the same kind of seam around the top. So I'm going to grab some more embroidery thread. Okay, and we're going to run a stitch around the top. Okay, so I have it all stitched, And now I'm just going to run a little bit of glue around there just to make sure it stays in place. Just go around the whole perimeter of the styrofoam. Just make sure the pants stay in place. Okay, and that's our pants are on. Okay, now we're ready to put the cone on the head, on the top, I'm sorry. So we're just going to put some glue on there. And we're going to glue the cone to the top. Now we're ready for the jacket and sleeves. So this is the material I'm using. And I cut a piece out that is 23 inches long by 12 inches wide, and I folded it in half. So you're going to fold it right sides together, and you are going to sew around the perimeter, leaving a little opening so that you can turn it right side out. And that's what I did here. Okay, so that is the jacket part. Now the sleeves are a 4x6 piece of material, which I made a little hem on the one end, and I am going to fold it over right sides together, and I'm going to run a stitch up this side. And then after you do that, you're going to fold it flat and run a stitch the other way. So you're going to first sew it this way, then you're going to fold it flat and then run a stitch this way, and that's the top of the shoulder. And then you're going to turn it right side out. Okay, we're ready to piece the jacket together. So we're going to take the jacket that we made and we're going to glue it onto the body. So we're just going to find the center, make sure that the 2 points come to the front like that. Now it doesn't matter that it doesn't close, because remember we're going to have a beard here, so this is all going to be covered. So we just want it to come like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pins there just to help me out a little bit while I glue it, and it should stay in place. Okay, so I'm just going to put pins there so I know where I want to glue it. So let's start with the front, and we're just going to glue the jacket to Now for our sleeves, I went ahead and I made the hands. So you're going to cut your pattern in felt. So I went ahead, cut my pattern, sewed around the edge, turned it right side out. Now I'm going to stuff it with a little bit of polyfill. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of polyfill inside the sleeve, just to give it a little bit of a bump. I don't want it to be too packed. Okay, just like that. And now we're going to grab some raffia before we glue the hands into the sleeve. I want to put some raffia to make it look like the straw is coming out of his sleeve. So now you all know from prior videos there's a right and a left hand, thumbs face forward. So if your seam is here, your seam is going to go onto the body, so your thumb is going to face forward. So that's the one we're going to put in here. Okay, so before we glue that in there, I want to glue some raffia around the hand. So I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue and put it around the cuff of the hand, and we're just going to lay some raffia there. Okay, my sleeves are done with the raffia in there. Okay, and now we're going to glue them to the body. So the seam side goes on to the shoulder with the thumbs facing forward. So we're going to just take a little bit of glue, put it at the top of the sleeve, and just glue it to where you think the shoulder is, like that. Okay, now we're ready for the beard. I am using faux alpaca fur, and I'm going to put a link in the description below this video to where I purchased it on Amazon. And we are going to trace the beard onto the back of the fur, and we're going to cut it out. So for those of you who don't know how to cut faux fur, you don't want to cut the fur. You want to cut just the fabric on the back. So you're going to go with either a razor blade or sharp scissors. I like to use the sharp scissors, it's just better for me, but you can use a razor blade or a box cutter, and you want to make sure that you just grab the fabric. So if you can see what I'm doing here, I am just grabbing the fabric and I'm snipping the fabric and not the fur. Okay, so you're going to do that, and you're going to go all the way around to where you traced. And I'm just going to snip that. Make sure I don't get the see what I mean? So when you pull it, you did not cut the fur, you only cut the fabric. So you still have those nice long pieces. Okay? Otherwise it would have just had a blunt cut and all this would have been cut off. Okay, and now we're just going to glue it onto the body like that. So I'm going to run the glue all the way around the top. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right on the gnome. Okay, so that's what he looks like so far. Okay, I need a little bit more glue at this shoulder here. Okay, then I am using a half ball. This is a 40 millimeter half wood ball. And I get this on Amazon, and this is his nose. So we are going to, again, put some glue on the back of the ball. And we're just going to put it right at the top of the beard, like that. Okay, so let me put some glue on there. And we're just going to glue it right to the beard, right like that. Okay, for the hat, here's my pattern for the hat. It comes in 2 pieces. You're going to have to tape the top to the bottom. You are going to place this side on the fold. I am using burlap, only because it fits the theme. So what I did was I traced the pattern onto the burlap and I sewed up. You're just going to sew here, from here to here, and you'll see the stitch line on the pattern. You're going to sew that, and what I did was I put it through the washer and dryer, and that's how I got all the frayed edges. Okay, so I turned it right side out, and before I do anything, I am going to stick some raffia in the top. So I made this little bundle here, and I am just going to glue this into the top there. So I'm just going to take some glue and make sure that that gets glued right to the top. So where that hole is, where the opening is, that's where you're going to glue that. And then you're just going to glue it closed. Okay, and there's the raffia that comes out of the top. Okay. Now you're going to put it on the gnome over the cone. Make sure that the seam goes over his nose. So you want to make it centered. Okay, it's going to lay like that. And I am just going to add a little bit of polyfill around just to give it some form, so there's no empty cavities. was a little bit too much. Okay, so now I want to take where the seam is, I am going to put some glue there, and I'm going to make sure the seam gets glued to the top of the nose. Okay, and then you're going to finish gluing the hat around the entire body. Okay, so let's just take the glue and go all around the bottom of the hat and make sure it's glued to the body. Okay. And now we're going to put some raffia coming out of his pants on the bottom to where the pants meet the shoes. So let's do that. Lay him down, and I'm just going to take some raffia, and we're going to do the same thing that we did to the hands. We're just going to take it and we're going to stick it underneath the pants. Okay, there's our raffia coming out of the pants. And you're just going to glue that in place. So now we're ready to give this little guy a little embellishment to make him even cuter, if that's possible. So I made this little patch using the same fabric that I had. I just ripped it apart to give it a frayed edge, and we're just going to glue it on to the hat like so. So we're taking a little bit of hot glue. We're just going to glue it on to the hat. Like that. Okay. And now I have these floral stems, so I am just going to glue some of it to the hat just to make a little bit of a decoration on his hat. Okay, and I think he'll be holding this cute little bundle of corn, kind of like a corn bouquet. So I'm going to glue that right to his hand. There he is. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again real soon. Happy crafting!